Towards the end of this week's Parsha, Parshas Toldos, after Yaakov Avinu steals the brachas from Esav, Esav walks in and asks his father Yitzchak to give him a bracha. And once Yitzchak realizes that he gave it to Yaakov, he trembles and he's so scared. He didn't expect that to happen. And once Esav realizes, he starts screaming and he says, Tati, bench me too, please give me a bracha. Is there not a bracha for me too? And Yitzchak answers him, Esav, my son, I'm so sorry. I gave him everything. I made him a ruler over you. He's your master. I gave him mitala shamayim umishmane aretz, the dew of the heavens, the fats of the land, wine, grain, everything I gave to him. What should I do? I don't have anything for you. I'm sorry. And Esav lets out such a cry, such a scream. Vayisa Esav koile vayef, and he cries. He cries, says, Tati, bench me too, please. And the next passage says, Vayan Yitzchak Aviv, and Yitzchak, his father, answered him. And then he goes on to give him a bracha, that he should live in the fats of the land, and he should live by his sword, and that if Yaakov does not keep his expectations, and his children and grandchildren, the Jewish nation, don't fulfill their expectations, then, and only then, will Esav be able to overcome Yaakov, and that's his bracha. The obvious question is, Yitzchak literally just told Esav that he doesn't have anything for him. He has no brachas. So what changed? All of a sudden, he does have brachas for him? And if he did have brachas that he could have found for him, why didn't he do that to begin with? The Gemara in Brachas says that tefillah, that when we daven to Hashem, the gates of heaven are closed, they're locked, since the times of the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. There's no access to Shemayim. The question is very obvious. If the gates of heaven are closed, how do we cry out on Rosh Hashanah? Uteshuva, utefila, utedaka, mavir in reis hagzeira. How does Hashem rip up the evil decree through our tefillah, through crying that out, if the gates of heaven are locked? If He's not going to answer our tefillahs? So there's a story that happened in pre-war Europe about an Ashir, a very wealthy man, who decided he wanted to be the chazan on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. He wanted to be the cantor on the high holidays. He wanted to daven for the Amid. So he goes to the townspeople, but the townspeople didn't want him to be. So they go to the Rav. And the Rav says to this Asher, he says like this. He says there's 3 people in Tehillim that have a connection to Tefillah, that are called prayer, that are called Tefillah. It says Tefillah LeDavid, David HaMelech, embodied Tefillah. Tefillah LeMoshe, Moshe Rabbeinu was Kulei Torah. Everything was about learning Torah. And Tefillah L'Ani, the prayer of a poor person. These 3 people have the ability to daven for the Amid. If you're a mamash abal tefillah, if you have a sweet voice, you're a cantor, or if you're a big Talmid Chacham, you're a learned man, or if you're a poor person. Are you any of these 3? He says, no. So what right do you have to be the chazan? The Asher says, you know what? You're right, and he turns around to leave. But the Rav says, 1 second. There's one more type of person that has the power to be a chazan that's not in these categories. And that's if you take the letters of David, Moshe, Oni, Dalid, Mem, Ayin, the first letters, spells Dima. Dima is tears. Someone who could cry sincerely and pour out his heart and soul to Hashem. Shifchi kamayim libech. He pours it out, and he could have a full, heartfelt tefillah to Hashem and lead the congregation in prayer. That's the person that can daven for the Amid. Which the Gemara goes on to say that the gates of heaven are never closed for tears. That if you really cry sincerely, Hashem will answer your tefillahs. And the reason for that is simple. Bechi, first of all, tears is the same gematria as leib. When you pour out your heart, who are you pouring it to? Your Father in heaven. Avinu Malkeinu. Our Tata, our Father. He answers all our tefillahs because He is in pain when we cry. Me being a father for just 3 weeks, oh Hashem, I see my child cry. He's only 3 weeks old, but you hear the piercing cry. You want to feed him, you want to give him a bottle, a pacifier, whatever's going to get him to stop crying because it's so painful. Every parent understands this feeling, and now I feel lucky to be part of that. But at the end of the day, even Esav HaRasha, the biggest Rasha, his father Yitzchak, he's crying to him, Vayisa Esav Koyle Vayef, he cries, he says, Tati, give me a bracha, bench me too. And Yitzchak, although he didn't have anything to give him in the first place. It was so painful. He tried so hard and he found the bracha to give Esav. That's the power of tears, the power of tefillah, crying to Hashem, our Father. He'll give us anything. We just have to cry to Him and ask. Please Hashem, let's end the Geula. Let's have simchas and yeshuas and refuas and nechamas. Everyone should get whatever they need, and we should taka b'zaycha to the bias goyal tzedek and hervi amen. Have a beautiful Shabbos.